If something's broken, you think you just fix it, right? But what if the opposite was true? I'm Suzanne Rath, and you're listening to Endures for your daily dose of endurance leadership and life lessons. And today I have been thinking about the endowment effect. This is something that I read about quite a while ago, and it came originally from Daniel Kahneman. And how it actually started was they discovered that people would pay more to retain something that they already had than they had paid for it in the first place, even if they didn't really care about it. And it got me thinking about how the endowment effect applies to us as individuals or within teams. And so, one way as individuals is we can have all these biases. So, we can have this sunk cost bias where we've put all this time, all this energy, all this effort into something, whether it's our business, whether it's our house, whether it's our relationships, whether it's training somebody, whatever it might be. And we feel like we can't let it go because we've sunk all of that cost into it. So, that's the sunk cost bias. And that's where my work with getting close to vision and purpose and having the courage to actually say what you want and then identifying the steps to move there can be really useful for breaking through that discomfort and saying no more to some of these things. But where it also applies is when we hold on to things that no longer serve us within teams and workplaces. And sometimes that's the systems or the communication channels or the way things have always been done. So last weekend, I was at a physio business owners conference, and there was a session on how a business is valued. And obviously, the dream of most owners is to have a business that partially works without them or to be able to do the kind of work that they love doing within the business instead of being stuck in the hustle, the grind, the crappy work. And that's one of my passions and one of my core catalysts when I work with people is that they can actually get mastery. They can activate their genius, whether it's like in work or outside of work. But so few businesses get to that point. And one of the things that downvalues your business or, holds it back is having tribal knowledge instead of established leadership and established systems. And one of the reasons why, and I see this all the time with friends, it's played out in my own life, that we have this tribal knowledge and why it holds us back and why actually we see people not wanting to change the systems, not wanting to grow, not wanting to change things even when they're broken, is the endowment effect. So we're never going to get to the bottom of why a particular individual might not want to change to a new system or might not want to grow or might not want to, aim a little bit higher unless we do that through coaching, through, opening up good ladders of communication, through allowing vulnerability and so on. And from that person obviously being open to that. But some of the ways that I have seen play out, and I've seen play out with clients and friends as to why people want to hang on to these outdated things, there's fear. So, fear of change, fear that their job is going to go, fear of looking vulnerable. Sometimes they are essentially feathering their own nest, for want of a better word. So if you don't train other people, if you hold all the knowledge and you spend all this time telling people that you have all the knowledge and you think or you allow other people to think that nobody else can do it other than yourself, you can make yourself pretty indispensable in an organization to a point. There's also a lack of adaptability. And having a growth mindset and being adaptable goes hand in hand. And something I say all the time, I mean, I do adaptability workshops with teams. I obviously speak a lot on the podcast and through a lot of my other work on adaptability. And I talk about how we are in a time when change is the slowest it's ever going to be again. So yes, we can talk about how things are changing and, we all can sit there and bemoan the days when, I went to uni and I did this and this is the way it was done. But we have to actually embrace change. And so sometimes when there is dysfunction within an organization or something's just not working, instead of fixing the dysfunctional systems or the people that are dragging the systems down, or looking at the strategies and looking at how we can change this, people add more. So they hire somebody else, or they buy a new software, or they put in place a new reporting tool, or they put in place a new communication system. And look, I have 100% been there also. And now we're at the point of stripping all of that back, because the truth is, often we just need to subtract to move forwards rather than to add more and more things. So I would love for you to have a look at your own life, your leadership, your business, whatever the case might be. And instead of thinking that you need more things to fix it, just ask yourself what you might subtract. And think about how that endowment effect plays out maybe a little bit in your own life. So, is there something you're hanging on to that you value more because it belongs to you, or because it's the way it's always been done, or because you've put so much into it, you have that sunk cost bias, as opposed to that it really, truly is valuable to you? Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you tomorrow for more from Endures.